So it's always an honor to sit amongst these men and these good sisters that do this great work. I mean, they have shared with you how they stand in the face of violence all the time to protect our community, to protect our children. So they are to be commended for that. So give them a round of applause. One of the things that I'd also like to point out is that children are constantly making choices. Children want to belong. They want to belong to something. And if you don't give them an opportunity to belong to something that's positive, if you don't give them positive mentors to follow, if you don't give them positive activities to fill up their otherwise free time, they will find something else to do. That's just point blank. One of the questions that was asked earlier was, well, what should we do for our kids? And one of the young men said, well, there need to be more programs. Well, that's true. Not only do you need more programs, but you need positive mentors that can wrap their arms around these young people, showing them that there are other opportunities to do great things with their lives. When Beloved pointed out that, these are the same guys that are going to be at your basketball game, they're going to meet you after school, that becomes the person you look to. Because we're also talking about consistency. The problem with programs that we have today is that they tend not to be funded for an extended period of time. And by extension, you get a kid who's excited, he can come out, listen, I'm gonna be X, Y, and Z PDQ, because that's what that brother told me I could be, and then all of a sudden he's gone. Because there's no more money, there's no more funding. Or on Saturdays, when you think the gymnasium ought to be open, it is no longer open, then you have to find something else to do. I remember we used to play in the elevators, make the elevators go up and down, playing the elevator shafts, climbing in and out of windows, because we had nothing to do. And not that that was a positive thing to do. And fortunately, none of my friends fell down the shaft, none of them fell out of the window, but those are just sorts of things that we did as boys who were looking for something to do. In my life, I was fortunate because I ended up having a scoutmaster who was really, really good to me and the young people that I worked with. He gave his life to make sure that I had an opportunity to stand up and be straight and follow a straight line. I had uncles and other men in my life that stood up to be mentors for me, and it made a world of difference. And the story that I tell all the time is that I had a very, very interesting situation. My father lived on one side of the line. He was a police officer. My uncle lived on the other side of the line. He was a drug dealer, and he ran with some of the notorious drug dealers that you hear about. And so in our family life, they're friends, but recognizing that, my day-to-day situation was different. I saw both sides of the equation all the time. But even still, my uncle was like, look, we want to make sure you're in the straight and the narrow. You don't need to be part of this. He wanted to make sure that his nephew didn't get caught up in what was going on in the streets, even though I was mindful of it. And I thought it was interesting, and I liked it, because to me it was exciting. But my mentors, my father, my uncle, my scoutmaster, my teachers, always made sure that I had stuff to do. So I didn't have enough time to run the streets and get in trouble, because I would have, because I wanted to, because I liked it. But they made sure I was playing ball. They made sure that I was at scout meeting. They made sure that I was on a camping trip. They made sure that I was talking to Mr. So-and-so, or I was helping some lady across the street. These are the sorts of things that kept me out of trouble. And what I'm suggesting is that's probably true for every kid in the community. Every kid wants to belong, but you gotta give them something viable that they can belong to. The reason that, fraternities and sororities are big in college is because boys and girls want to belong. The reason why you have crews and gangs is because somewhere along the line, boys and girls want to belong. So the choice is, do you give them something to belong to that's positive, or do you give them something to belong to that's not so positive? And those are the choices that our boys and girls are making every single day. So again, we commend these brothers and these sisters that are out there that are giving our children that are not so easy to reach. If you're not a credible messenger, they're not necessarily that easy to reach. If you're afraid of our children, it's not easy to reach them. But these brothers and sisters are out there speaking to these boys and girls every day and saying, here's an opportunity for you to do something different with your life. Here's an opportunity for you to be educated. Here's an opportunity for you to be a leader in your community. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's part of the message that each of us should be carrying and sharing with the boys and girls in our communities. You need to identify the people in your community that can provide opportunities for our children. And keep supporting programs like SNUG. Keep supporting programs, what we call our Circle of Safety at Harlem Hospital, because these are the programs that have been around for years and years committed to making sure that the lives of our children are protected so they can grow up, graduate, be gainful, have families, and have a wonderful life. Thank you.
I'd like to open it up to questions from the audience.
Hey, how everybody doing? Once again, my name is Beloved. Before we even go into answering anything, we want to give great thanks to Eric, because he's the reason why we got connections inside the Harlem Hospital. He's the reason why we put this video together with the young people, because Circle of Safety is actually something he started, and he just brought all of us to the table together, and he gave us the opportunity to work with each other for real.
I'm interested in building up what you just said, Eric. Jamar and Beloved and Corey, would you be willing to speak about what turned you around?
What made me realize I wanted to change is that I got locked up at a young age. I got locked up at the age of 14. And I did 12 years. I came home when I was 26. So being able to watch my brother while being incarcerated starting to go through the similar things that I've done to lead me to incarceration led me to want to change, and I started by being incarcerated. Did it with my fellow peers, as well as coming home seeing my same peers doing the same thing that they was doing before I got incarcerated. So it's like joining a program, Snug, and even Circle of Safety and everything, and being able to open up the gym to the kids that we have every Tuesday. We used to have one on Sunday, but like Eric said, through the funding, we had to shut it down. So now, kids that we work with every day are now back on the streets doing the same thing. We try to catch them. We know the easiest way to them is through the basketball, through a mic, through anything that's productive as far as what they're used to seeing on TV. So we try, like me per se, like I try my best to even tell my story to them, to relate to them, because I got locked up so young. Looking at them always as my little brother, always letting them know, be consistent with them, that I'm here even when I'm not at work. I don't need a snug shirt for you to call me. You call me 3, 4 in the morning, and this is why I turned into be a violence interrupted hospital responder, because the calls are important. It became more personal than just a job. And I think my team, we all can say the same thing about it.
As I reflect on what made me want to change, I remember being at Elmira Correctional Facility, and I went to the mess hall to get some food. And when I was going back to my cell, got in my cell, I heard a man calling my name, and he wasn't saying C Gutter, he was saying Corey, and I'm like, who is this? And he's like, it's your father. So when I went to the yard, the recreation yard, and we got a chance to see each other face to face, we kind of paused, because at that moment, I guess I know we both understood that we shared a common failure, that we both was now an inmate, and that we both was now a statistic, which really is a sad statistic when you look at fatherhood and sonhood. A father is supposed to be out there with his son. A son is supposed to be out there with his father, supposed to be doing things. I never had that experience. So, throughout our time being together, incarcerated, it was times that we would, sit down. My father was illiterate. He couldn't read or write. So I was still gangbanging at the time, but I still had enough sense to start sitting down with him and to teach him, one-digit division, and, read certain stories with him in the yard, although I still was a gang member. So I think at that time, when I started to know who my father was, started to get him for him, not for what I was hearing from my moms or what I thought my father was. At that time, I got a chance to, although it was sad, I got a chance to build a relationship with him. Before he passed away in prison in 2003. So after his death, I was able to say, I want to change. And one of my first acts of courage was denouncing the blood gang. I did that when it was hard, it was rough. It was said that you can't do that. But I was able to get enough courage and to have enough support from the current gang members that had some status and was really known in the gang to give me support in my decision of leaving. And recently I became Muslim and started praying and things like that. So that was my act of change, and that was it, which inspired me to be an author, a motivational speaker, and to come home and do the right thing. So that was my act of change.
Mine is real simple. It was a situation with a young kid that was 14. The kid that was 14, he was getting jumped by a group that's supposed to be the other side. And in the process of being the other side, you know, I stopped the fight. I stopped him from beating him up. But I ain't feel like talking to him because I feel like he a little stupid knucklehead, right? So I let him go ahead and do what he do. But then he started shooting up the block because he had a gun that day. I didn't know that. So he started shooting up the block. And in the process of shooting up the block, he almost murdered my mother, right? So the reality hit me there, right? Because it's like, all right, I can play stupid, right? And act like these kids don't be in the circus with us, like they don't be in the supermarkets, restaurants, and places with us. A lot of times when we was out on the street, they never hit the intended target. They hit the nice little 17-year-old girl. They shot the little baby that was 1 year old. They shot the 4-year-old kid. Like, who want to walk around and we supposed to be the conscious people? We supposed to be the one that know how to do protection and know everything about it, to understand and all that. Who want to really know that, yo, I'm finna wait for my mother to get shot? When I got a reputation out here that can help people. Because some of them don't know how to just stop on their own. One of my situations when I got shot that time, this person realized in his head that he got to kill me because I'm bad news. He saw me shoot people. He know what type of lifestyle I am. He know I'm the real official dude. So I'm not somebody he could just leave alive. So he shot me in the morning. He shot me in the afternoon. The reality was it took guys from in jail to write a letter. 2 letters to go to one to his side and one to my side. And the letter made me and him have to think about what we really want to do in life.